Hey folks, one of the greatest verses in the scriptures concerning grace comes from 1 Corinthians 15:10. Here's what Paul says. But by the grace of God, I am what I am, and God's grace toward me was not in vain. But I labored more abundantly than they all, yet not I, but the grace of God which was with me. What Paul is saying there, whatever I accomplish, whatever I become is a result of God's grace alone. Now, he said, I worked hard. As a matter of fact, he says that I worked harder than all the other apostles. But then he gave a caveat there, a qualifier, yet my work was not of me. It was God's grace in me as well. In chapter 3 of Galatians, Paul says in verse 3, "Oh, you foolish Galatians, have you begun in the Spirit? And now you're being expected to be perfected by your flesh because they were turning back into circumcision after being saved by grace alone?" As homeschoolers, it's easy to start homeschooling because God moves on us and we don't know anything. We're scared to death. We're going to fail our kids and make God look bad. So we're praying, we're seeking His face. Well, the longer we go, the more we get our sea legs, which is a good thing. Then we get so consumed with other considerations like curriculum and schedules and activities. And if we're not careful, these things can overwhelm the simplicity that there is in seeking God in our homeschooling experience. We start in the Spirit by God, by His grace, yet we think we have to work hard on our own, that we're perfected by our own flesh, our own efforts. I hope that makes sense to you today. Because what I have seen, folks feel such a responsibility to steward the grace of God that's been given them, but they try to steward that grace in their own strength. No. We can only steward God's grace by God's grace. Yet not I, but God's grace with me. And so today I encourage you as you continue to mature in your homeschooling journey. Yes, we use these secondary options. We love curriculum. We appreciate activities and cooperative experiences. But we must never get away from the fact that homeschooling success comes from the grace of God. Regardless of how hard we work, it is still the grace of God within us. This is Kirk Smith with ICHE's Take 5.